All right, good evening, everyone. Going to now call tonight's City Council meeting to order. It is now 6 p.m. Welcome. We're in for hopefully not a very long night, but we're glad to see everyone here with us this evening. We're going to go ahead and start off with an invocation. Rabbi Abrams, welcome. Looking forward to seeing you in just a second for our invocation. And then our flag salute is actually going to be led by Scoutmaster Thomas Villanueva and Troop 309. So we'll do the invocation and then we'll do the color guard.
Thank you very much. It's nice to see you guys again. Thank you for inviting me to give the invocation tonight. And it's a special time. In just a couple days, the Jewish people were celebrating the holiday of Shavuot, which marks exactly 50 days since Passover. And this is known as the day that the Jewish people, God gave the Jewish people the Torah, the Bible, and gave 613 commandments to Jewish people to make the world holy. But the thing that people may not know is that same moment of Mount Sinai, when God revealed himself to the world and said the 10 commandments, God also spoke to all the nations of the world. The Jewish people had 613 commandments, and all the nations of the world were given 7 commandments to make the world a good place. And these 7 commandments, which are, number 1, to believe in God, number 2, not to curse God, number 3, not to kill, number 4, not to commit adultery, number 5, not to steal, number 6, to treat animals nicely, and number 7, to establish courts of justice. And these 7 commandments are all that it takes for the world to become a good place. And the city council meeting tonight is really just an extension, it's an expression, it's fulfillment of the 7th commandment, to establish courts of justice, to create a government that's going to make the world run smoothly. And so may God come into this city council meeting and guide you and give you wisdom and the foresight to indeed make our city more safe and more prosperous. Amen.
Thank you. We got some chills. That was wonderful. Thank you. Madam City Clerk, may we please have the roll call?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Councilmember Alexander?
Here.
Councilmember Brown?
Here.
Councilmember Kalfas?
Here.
Mayor Schwank?
I'm here.
Mayor Pro Tem Stewart?
Here. All right, we'll move right into our presentations. We have a few this evening. I'm going to start with a presentation of Proclamation for Public Works Week. I'm going to go ahead and ask that Pat Thomas, would you maybe like to go to the podium?
If you wouldn't mind, Mayor Schwank, I've got a brief video I wanted to show the council and the audience on what is Public Works.
All right.
And this is actually produced by the American Public Works Association, who is the national organization that represents the public works professionals from all over the nation. So if you could cue up the video.
Roll it.
Communities depend on public works for the innovations, the solutions, and for the quality of life we enjoy each and every day.
But as our communities grow,
our needs are ever changing.
With more possibilities to pursue.
Challenging the past.
To write the next chapter.
move communities forward.
This is Public Works, and these are the innovators changing the world. This is why we work. Because the people of Public Works believe in the power of community.
Giving our personal best.
Innovating tomorrow, today.
Always moving forward. Before the next disaster.
For the next generation.
And our generation too.
To sustain our communities.
Save our planet.
Making a difference every day.
As Public Works, we seize the moment, realizing our full potential. Searching, solving, innovating. This is why we work, bringing together imagination, creativity, and passion, uniting the tools and technologies for today's world, changing the game for the future. We are Public Works.
All right. I think Morgan Freeman could read the phone book and we'd all just be sitting there in awe. That's wonderful. If you wouldn't mind joining me down at the podium, and if you have staff here.
Yes, I'd like to ask the other folks from the Public Works Department if they could come down to the front too.
All right, after a long day of doing all that in our city, and you're still here, so we appreciate that. And we know a lot of your team is home now relaxing after putting in a good day for our residents. Okay, City of Temecula proclamation for National Public Works Week. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people in Temecula. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Temecula to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and the public works programs in the respective communities. And whereas the quality of effectiveness of these services, as well as their planning, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skills of the public works personnel. And whereas the year 2023 marks the 63rd Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association. Now therefore, I, Mayor Zach Schwank, on behalf of the City Council of the City of Temecula, hereby proclaim the week of May 21st through the 27th, 2023 to be National Public Works Week, connecting the world through public works. And I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association, and government agencies and activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to the public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. You all do a wonderful job, and if you'd like to say anything else, we'd certainly love to hear.
I just wanted to thank the mayor and council for this recognition and proclamation, and thank you on behalf of the 62 hardworking public works professionals we have here at the city of Temecula. So thank you very much.
Take a quick break. All right, thank you very much. Okay, so the next presentation we have is for California Park and Rec Society Awards of Excellence. So we'd like to call up Kyla Brown, the CPRS Riverside County General Manager, Parks Director. Welcome.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm just going to get set up here because you guys got a lot of awards. As you mentioned, my name is Kyla Brown, and my day job is the Regional Park Director for Riverside County, and I also represent CPRS on their state board as the President-elect. And it is under that hat that I am here tonight to present you all with some very special awards. The CPRS Annual Awards Program celebrates outstanding examples of quality facility and park design, programming accomplishments, effective communications, community leadership, and professional successes that take place daily in our profession. Through the 5 award categories, we highlight the people, places, spaces, programs, and stories that make communities like the city of Temecula special. This year, 104 applications were received and only 34 were given out. 2 in the marketing category were given to Temecula, so congratulations on that endeavor. The first award is the Award of Excellence in Marketing and Communication for Print Publications for the Temecula Presents 2022-2023 season brochure. Temecula Presents' comprehensive full-color catalog welcomes back the Temecula Theater family. Temecula Theater's brochure serves as an in-depth artistic overview of the year's performances at the city's state-of-the-art proscenium stage. Full bleed images highlight Temecula Theater's 2022-2023 season performances with custom professional photography, highlighting distinctive experiences and events. And I'd like to call Sharice Turner, the Community Services Manager that oversees Old Town Temecula Theater, up to the podium to receive this award. Sure, we'll have a little party up here. All right, the second award was for Marketing and Communications in the category of Digital Media for the Around and About Temecula Park Adventures web series. Park Adventures takes viewers on a virtual tour of all the parks located in the city of Temecula. The Park Adventures series features Temecula's parks of all sizes with a mission to encourage viewers to explore all of them. Their online journey visits every park to experience the amenities and provide some history and interesting facts along the way. I'd like to call up Mike Morey, Multimedia Coordinator, to receive the CPRS Award of Excellence for Digital Marketing. Those plaques were so heavy, this arm, I was carrying it in, and it's like, I need to work out, is what that's a sign of. All right, and the final award is the Award of Excellence in Innovative Programming for the Aquatics Section, Aquatics Hiring Workshop. Temecula's Aquatics Division is innovative combination of programming enhanced recruiting efforts, enabling them to broaden their reach for potential new employees, and hire a fully staffed team for the summer season. By promoting and encouraging participation in the aquatic profession, Temecula has solidified its positioning as a safe city and viable employer for youth within the community while building brand loyalty and increasing use. And I'd like to call Melissa Davis, Aquatic Supervisor 2, to receive the CPRS Award of Excellence for Innovative Programming. As a whole group? Okay. I'm just going to tell you a little bit. I think you had a couple of slides, and I don't know if you guys can see close up what these plaques look like, but these are one-of-a-kind award plaques that are handmade by artists through an LA-based nonprofit called Piece by Piece. Not only are you being recognized with a unique piece of artwork, CPRS is helping people who were formerly unhoused and low income to develop marketable skills, self-confidence, and an improved quality of life. Thank you again, and congratulations on your multiple awards.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. All right, and certainly no pressure about it. If any of our wonderful award winners would like to say a word or two, we'd certainly love to hear about your programs or... All right. Well, okay, I'll tell them all about it because... you all do an amazing job in our community, and I know many of us have firsthand interaction with you, whether it's at the theater or whether it's at events or social media or at the pool, and you do wonderful by our community. So these awards are just a small... thank you, right? Because there's no way we can thank you for everything, and thank you to CPRS, but as a community, you're just doing a wonderful job day in and day out for Temecula residents, so thank you all. Yeah, thanks. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, and the final presentation is by Troop 309G of Michelle's Place and Troop 309B, St. Mother Teresa, regarding a U.S. flag program for Temecula residents. I do have a slide I'd like to put up, and I'll kind of give a little backstory to this. So every year, city council members have what's called council discretionary funding, where we are able to support nonprofits, and oftentimes we will support folks like Michelle's Place or the VFW or any number of nonprofits in our community. And so I was thinking that given the amount of funding that we've infused back into the community, I wanted to do something a little bit different. Typically, I would just work with a nonprofit, and they would use that, allocate those resources to however they best see fit for their organization. But in traveling around our community, I noticed something, and a lot of flags on porches, which is wonderful, but many of them were in not the best shape, let's put it that way. And we have ways to capture those flags back with fire stations and things like that, but we didn't have a way to replace them, and I thought, what if we created a program, which we did, so thank you to the city manager's office for working with me on this. But what we did was we partnered with Michelle's Place, and we also partnered with retired 25-year Marine Corps Chief Warrant Officer, Scoutmaster Tom Villanueva, and his troop, 309, which is chartered out of Michelle's Place, along with Home Depot, to purchase, we ended up purchasing 256 flags, I believe, which are free to Temecula residents. If you live in the city of Temecula, we would love to see you at one of these events and get a flag and get it on your home. So this is just something that I thought would be a wonderful lead up to the 4th of July. And we've actually talked about sort of riding around my community, some of my neighborhood, because it was really the impetus for this, and seeing some of the flags and actually replacing them with the Scout Troop. So we gave away some flags at Culture Fest, which was wonderful, and here's some other events that we'll be at in the lead up to the 4th of July. So I just thought this was an interesting way for us to show a little patriotism in our community, and then obviously work with Michelle's Place and the Scout Troop 309, as well as Home Depot. So at this moment, I'd like to call all of those folks up to the podium, and we can talk a little bit more about this wonderful flag program. So we could have Michelle's Place, if Kim is still here, and the whole team, which I see in the back there. Come on up. Yeah. And is Stefano here from Home Depot? Is Home Depot here? There he is.
Adult leaders. Move, Scouts. Let's go. All we need to get tight, get close, because we're going to get a picture.
Yeah, then we'll come down and get a quick photograph too. So this rolled out last Saturday, and it was very well received. I think it'll be nicely received by the balance of the community. All right, I'll head on down too. Photo op. Come on, Kathy.
We got it. Trust me.
Yeah, Shauna's going to take some photographs for us.
Actually, this is your program, so.
Well, we'll be handing flags out. And I know we talked about having some flags at Michelle's Place for folks that are using the services of Michelle's Place, so they'll be able to get a flag over there as well. Are you going to be able to get us all in, Shauna? All right, and Tom and maybe Stefano and Michelle, if you'd like to say a few words, we can come up to the podium. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Yay, lucky me. Last man standing, I guess.
All right.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tomas Villanueva. I'm the Scout Master for Troop 309 Girls, Temecula, chartered out of Michelle's Place, and the Assistant Scout Master for Troop 309 Boys, chartered out of St. Mother's Teresa. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Zach, I'd like to thank you for inviting us and my troop the opportunity to hand out flags, along with Michelle's Place and Home Depot for providing the flags. This is a great opportunity for my scouts to, one, do public service, community service, which is a requirement for scouts and for every one of them who will be an Eagle Scout one day. This is a requirement for them as far as community service. Scouting is an incredible organization, and these young men and women here spend a lot of time practicing their skills and working hard. They are very excited about this. We will be at all your events. We're going to discuss that and divvy them up tonight. This is an incredible opportunity. Like you said, many people have flags, but they're often torn and weathered. And most people will turn them into a fire department. There are only three organizations that can properly dispose of a flag. They are the U.S. military, there are VFWs, and a scouting organization. We as scouts, they have learned how to properly dispose of flags when they're tattered and torn. So if you have some collection, we will also take care of those as well. It's a great program. We look forward to being a part of it. Thank you for it. And if we're going to do this next year, we will be ready. Wow. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Kim Garish, Executive Director, Michelle's Place Cancer Resource Center, here in a different capacity this evening. Just wanted to say thank you to the mayor for this program. I think it's fun. We're really excited, something different. Thank you, Betsy, for reaching out to Michelle's Place, and to Tom and his scouts, hardest working scouts that I know. Several of his scouts have been Eagle Scouts because of projects they've done at Michelle's Place to improve our center and do work around it. I know they'll do an amazing job. He's a tough leader, so raising really great people in our community. So thanks again for the opportunity.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, so I look forward to seeing everyone out there. And the one thing that struck me is when we first met initially on this is how quickly you all stood up and said, yes, we'll do this. This is great. From the Scouts to Michelle's Place to Home Depot, I can't thank you enough for this. And I think it's going to be wonderful for our community. So thanks again. Really appreciate it. All right. Okay, that does it with our presentations. We're going to now move to our board commission reports. Just commissions this evening, so we'll go with our Planning Commission to Chair Turley Treya.
Hello. I'm excited about that flag program.
Well, do you live in the city of Temecula?
I do.
Okay, well, you can
and
go.
I would really like one because mine's a little faded, but I do love having one outside my house. So I am here tonight as the chair for the Planning Commission, and we have 4 others on our commission: Bob Hagel, Adam Ruiz, Fernando Solis, and Gary Watts. So we just met last week. We meet on the no, we do not. We meet on the first and third Wednesdays. I do know that. We meet on the first and third Wednesdays at 6 p.m. right here. And so this last week, we voted on a home modification in Starlight Ridge, which is one of our oldest communities that actually existed when I moved here. So it was kind of fun to drive through there and check it out, see how it's going. So this applicant, actually, we were impressed with his due diligence in talking to his neighbors, talked to about 13 of his neighbors, and 11 of them were in favor of his home modification. So they're adding 1,600 square feet to an 865 square foot home. So they had the smallest home in Starlight Ridge, and now they will have one of the bigger homes in Starlight Ridge. So that's pretty exciting for them to see the difference in that home. And I think for me, what I think is great about this is probably one of the first ones we voted on like this. I don't know, Luke, I'm thinking, I don't remember voting on something like this, but seeing how, one neighbor in a neighborhood can make improvements on his home, and I think that can be a domino effect for the other neighbors, and trying to, not keep up with the Joneses, but try to, kind of clean up their yards and make things look a little nicer. So I always think that's a great thing. So we were happy to vote on that, 3-0 to approve the application. We had one recusal, and one of our commissioners was absent, had an excused absent. Okay. The next thing we voted on was a conditional use permit so this is, if you can see where it is kind of in the Terra Plaza area, and it used to be a bank, and is now going to be another Starbucks because we don't have enough Starbucks in Temecula. But it's going to be great, a great addition. There's a building there right now, and this will replace that building. So right next to it, just to give you an idea, is Boba Tea and Urban Island are right in there. So they're going to finish off the sidewalk that's right there on Inez also that hasn't been finished. And there will actually be kind of a walkway from the sidewalk to get down, to be able to walk. They're going to have a nice area, as you can see out in front, to sit. And so I think it'll be a real improvement right there for that area. So that was kind of exciting to have that. We also had one recusal and one of our commissioners absent that evening. So that is what we voted on last week. I think that's it. Yep. Next meeting is on June 7th, and we invite you all to come. It's always great. Thank you.
We'll be there. And I think that Starbucks will likely have a domino effect in that shopping center as well. think if you, like historically, it's been fairly tough for some of the restaurants in there. Seems like there's kind of a high churn rate there. So looking forward to that.
Definitely.
Great job. Okay, next we have Chair Steed with the Race, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Commission. Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, there are 7 members of our commission, and the description of our commission is the Race, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Commission reviews and makes recommendations on topics of diversity and inclusion within the city events, services, programs, policies, and enhanced community relations. Next slide. Our last meeting was on May 15th, and we received a presentation by, next slide, please. There we go. By Dr. Sherry Kim Parker of the Marietta Temecula Area Alumni Chapter of the Delta Theta Sorority. She reviewed the organization's community service efforts and scholarship programs and invited everyone to their annual breakfast, which will be in September in Pechanga, I believe. They're a great group of women, and they give us a lot of information about the different things that they do, so we all look forward to supporting them in any way we can. It was great to hear from them. Next slide, please. We also invited the Temecula Valley Unified District School students to receive proclamations for Jewish American Heritage Month, along with Asian American Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander Month, which is ANHPI Heritage Month. We received educational videos outlining Jewish American and AANHPI Heritage Months. We received comments from the mayor. We thank you for sending that in to us. A reading and presentation of the proclamations, comments by the students from the Jewish American Club from Temecula Valley High School, and video comments by the students from Hillel SDSU. We received presentations by 2 of our commissioners, Commissioner Pastorian and also Commissioner Lectors. We received census data and also historical information from them. And then we did get comments and presentations from students from the Asian Pacific Club from Chaparral High School, the Ohana Nani Nui from Great Oak High School, and also the Asian Culture Club from Temecula Valley High School. And we did also get a presentation from our community service regarding events in the city during the month of May that support those proclamations. Next slide, please. And lastly, our commission meeting will change to Wednesday next month because the kids graduate on Thursday, so it'll be on June 7th. And we look forward to presenting the proclamation and celebrating Pride Month. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, public safety report. County of Riverside Fire Department. CAL FIRE, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me here today. Mr. Mayor, City Council members. We don't have too much exciting news for you guys. That's good for the community, but kind of not so great for the meeting. So 74 incidents total. That were the commercial fire, wildland fire, vehicle fire, rescues, and false alarms. We had 64 false alarms, which is good for our community, keeping those things down to a minimum. Medical emergencies, about 620, and 747 total for the city here. So about 150 incidents that were not the routine medical, and minus the false alarms. So 831 is what we're kind of calling for the month of April, and 3,388 calls so far for the city for year to date. Next slide. The numbers for Station 12, 165 calls for the month, 247 at Truck and Engine House, 73. They have the 2 units there. 84 right in the middle of town, 203 incidents. 92 has 153, and those guys were getting busier and busier. 95. It only reflects 52, but I got a phone call out to see if those numbers are accurate because they seem to be a lot busier than that. Those incidents are, I'm told, are to reflect only the city calls, and those guys are, those men and women there are running into the county area as well, but kind of make sure those numbers are true for us. Next slide. The plans reviews, 565. I think we're doing pretty well there. The construction inspections, those men and women there in the prevention and fire marshal office are working hard every day. I see them out there on the road, and 427. Annual inspections are still 518. The inquiries, we're getting busier with that, 26. Nothing really for the special event permits for this past month. However, we did have some special events with, those are for the month of May to report for next month's report there. Next slide. Program highlights, we had Michael Alfred has met the requirements for and awarded the Cal OES Emergency Management Specialist designation. And that's new for us. It's good. We're excited to have Michael aboard with the emergency management. And now he's brought under from the human resources into the fire side of things to kind of round off our program over there. The 2023 Emergency Operations Plan approved by the City Council, that was great. And we even had OEM have a meeting with the DRC Pacific for our catastrophic disaster debris removal standby agreement, which was a part of that meeting. That was great to hear those men and women there present, and had a zero commitment contract with us and only build back in the event that there is an actual disaster. So that was exciting to see that. They had a lot of resources they were planning on providing for us if we need to. We had a couple PR events, the planned community events, the Wolf Creek Safety Fair. I know our guys were kind of confused and didn't quite get out there in a good time, but they had some incidents and they were able to round up the afternoon there and still engage with the community. The CERT team is out there. They're getting slowly, but they're getting busier with our interaction with those guys. I've seen them out there, and they were out this weekend at the Balloon and Wine Festival too. Seeing them out, and they came, I think, to the Rod Run last couple weeks ago. Community presentations. You see, we have the Women's Association, the Emergency Vet Hospital, and Michelle's Place. We had a Stop the Bleed presentation over there. It seemed to be well received so far. A couple more backpacks for the community preparedness stuff. We have only 10 for the year to date, but we're still getting active. The big months are June for us, so we plan on having a lot more participation there for our events there. For the winter storm, we did have Riverside County added as part of the proclamation for the governor for April 2023. So hopefully you get some kind of reimbursement from those damages that may have occurred, if we can prove any of that stuff. So that's good for us. Nothing too crazy still. Next slide, I think that's it. Yeah, that's all we have for us.
All right. Thank you so much for the presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Any questions?
I think on behalf of the mayor and myself, thank you and Station 92 for showing up at the Wolf Creek Safety Fair. It was a good event. I know they were late just because of calls, but when they did get there, I think they're overwhelmed with the participation from all the residents there, but thank you.
Well, thank you, sir. We were a little confused about that initially. We had some overtime personnel going through there and a little late to get out there, but we were definitely excited to be part of the community and engage there. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the public comments portion of our agenda for non-agenda items. Madam City Clerk, do we have any public comments for non-agenda?
Mr. Mayor, we do have a couple of public comments on non-agendized items. The first speaker is Pastor Karina Reed, to be followed by Payam Dineshwar.
Okay. Welcome. I think there's a button on top where you can kind of zoom out if you need to. There you go.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, staff, and residents of Temecula. Usually I am here by myself, sitting silently, praying for each of you as you make your decisions. But tonight I am here with some of my team members from my nonprofit. I'm with my husband, Jeff Reed, and my colleague, Shanae Martin. And we spend a lot of time on the streets of Temecula. And we spend a lot of time encountering people who are feeling lost, who are feeling hopeless. The city does an amazing job with just recognizing people and blessing people, but there's also a huge population that doesn't get recognized. And so we really do our best on a weekly basis to try and go out and just bless those and see people who need to be seen. And so we're actually inviting the public to an event of hope and encouragement to say that we see you. And we're just hoping to fill the Temecula Valley High School Theater and bring hope into this community And we're starting the event with a film. My husband is a filmmaker, so he's going to talk a little bit about that.
Thank you. Good evening. My name's Jeff Reed. I'm a filmmaker, and we put together an exciting story of one woman who has, my wife in fact, who has given a terminal cancer diagnosis some years ago, and all the twists and turns in that, and how it's quite a miraculous story and a miraculous comeback. And it's an inspiring story, it's an uplifting story, and I think we all tend to gravitate to those types of stories of overcoming the odds, and it has a faith component to it. It's about hope and faith, life and death. And we just want to invite you if that's something you're interested in. And I made it for people who are at the end of their rope and have nowhere to turn. And I think we all know at least someone like that in our lives. I didn't quite have the budget for Morgan Freeman on this one, but hopefully the next one will include him. But thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
I just want to say God bless you all. I appreciate what you do. I know your job is hard, and that's why I sit in the audience every time just interceding for you. So God bless you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
The next speaker is Payam Dineshwar, to be followed by our last speaker, Rebecca Farnback.
Welcome.
When can I start?
Go ahead.
All right. Yes, so basically, I want to talk about, I came a month early because I can't stand the crazy people who come from LA and San Diego County and ruin this city council.
Payam, can you speak into the mic, please?
Next month. And these are some of the problems I have for the upcoming Pride Month, which will be hijacked from people from LA and San Diego County coming here. Many people know about a lot of these things, but there's a few points that people don't know about yet, or they don't know the seriousness of it. The number 9 issue is that, you know, they've been actually getting violent. There's been a lot of aggressive behavior from the unfortunate Tennessee shooting. I mean, to Austin, Texas, we see Antifa holding big guns outside of trans kids' activities. Again, is this the future that we want? For all the young people here today who want to become future patriots, I don't think so. And I also want to know if the city and the city council and the mayor are ordering Antifa or any violent behavior that could possibly happen, if they're ordering us people to stand down, if they're ordering the police to stand down, or if we can use our self-defense. For point number 11, you know, there was a time I don't have the exact dates, but women did not have rights. They fought for it, and it's fair. They did it peacefully, and then they got it, and it was for the better. Same for blacks. But there's like the LGBTQXYZ123 community does not have lack of rights. They're just shoving it in our face, and it's, you know, it's actually DMS-5 says it's a medical disorder that should not really be glorified. We should address these victims. But mainly, I think we should actually, my main point is, these are just distractions. Let's focus on the signal, not the noise. You know, these are just distractions from the transhumanism movement. These are distractions from the 2030 agenda that Temecula agreed on. I still don't know who agreed to it, why, and how it's going on. This is really bad for us. 15-minute cities are global digital they're digital prisons. And you guys agreed to it.
Payam, your 3 minutes is up. Thank you.
You guys agreed to
Payam.
you guys agreed to do 2030 agenda. I highly recommend everybody to find out what 2030 cities are, smart cities are, they're digital prisons. They want to fine us. They want to ask us to. They want.
Thank you.
The final speaker is Rebecca Farnback.
Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, staff. Well, I love our city seal, old traditions and new opportunities. We've come a long way since cityhood, haven't we? 1989. Well, there's a group of citizens, grassroots, who have decided it's time for old-timers to get together. So on June 3rd at Vail headquarters, from 1 o'clock to 5 o'clock, we're having an old-fashioned get-together. Some of the people on the committee for what's being called the Heyday of Temecula are planning what's called the first annual Heyday, and they're inviting anybody who wants to come. There will be displays on tables with old-fashioned posters and some video presentations of things that happened here in Temecula between the time that the Vail Ranch was sold in 1964 and cityhood, 1989. So you're all invited, and the Historical Society has invited them to the Vail headquarters to do this. We think it's a fitting place, and you can meet your neighbors. Bring a lawn chair and just be prepared to have some conversations with some good old folks who've been here for a long time. And that's my presentation.
Wonderful. Thank you. Absolutely.
So are you going to be doing any presentations on this event?
Well, we are going to pass around a microphone, and people will tell some old-time stories. John Hunneman will be there as one of the MCs. Anybody remember Timmy D? He's going to be one of the MCs also. And I think there will be a lot of conversations. We plan to do a live stream of some of the microphone pass around that would be live streamed on our Facebook page, our Temecula Valley Historical Society Facebook page, and it will be archived there for future listening and watching.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Look forward to it. All right. Is that all the... Okay, so no more speakers on non-agenda. We'll go ahead and move to our city council reports. I'm just going to start to my left. Councilmember Alexander, anything? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Alrighty, so I just wanted to just talk to the council and the city of Temecula just about some findings that I've had. Next month, the Ready Commission will be reading the LGBTQ proclamation to children who attend Temecula high schools who are members of the LGBTQ clubs. After reading thoroughly through the proclamation and doing extensive research on the LGBTQ plus group, I have uncovered concerns that I need to bring to light to my colleagues and the city of Temecula. The LGBTQ plus has been an ever-evolving acronym since the 1960s, when the first LGB was started. Since then, the acronym has at least 40 different sexualities, genders, and groups that have been added, which I do not believe everyone on the city council would condone. It's imperative for the safety of our children, our entire community, that we define the plus. First, I will ask the city council at a later date to allow the important conversation to be had in order to set definitive boundaries and lines to what the plus means. Second, which groups fall under the plus, which groups do not, and why. Third is to give clear direction as to how often this ever-changing list should be modified and updated. Examples, our laws, our culture, influences, and ages. The last thing I'd like to bring to the attention of my colleagues is after I studied the proclamation and the history behind the Stonewall Uprising, which is mentioned on the first line of the LGBTQ proclamation, I would like to ask the council to do their due diligence, investigate, and research the actual movement of the Stonewall Uprising in Greenwich Village in New York, where I'm from. You may end up asking yourself the same question that I came up with. Why would Temecula, or any organization for that, be commemorating an event that resulted in the attempted murder of police officers and patrons of a mafia-owned illegitimate business? Specifically, when a warrant was issued for this establishment that presented serious health problems, violations, sanitation issues, and circumvented the state liquor license laws. I look forward to bringing this to light in the future.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Alexander. Councilmember Brown?
Yes, I have a slide for you. Well, following that, in line with what Commissioner Steed highlighted earlier, this being the last council meeting in May, I want to invite you guys all out to the Ready Commission on June 7th, right here in the chambers, where we'll read the proclamation that you just heard some information about from our Councilmember Alexander and her thoughts of it. But the city itself will read the proclamation here on June 7th in the council chambers.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilmember Brown. Councilmember Kalfas, anything this evening?
Yes, you can pull up the slide. So this past Sunday, I went out to Green Acres Ranch, which is a farm off of Deportola out in the Temecula wine country. And they have a program called GATE, which stands for Green Acres Interactive Therapy. And at this was just more of an awareness and donations, proceeds. It was a walk, ride, run, gate event where they take individuals with special needs or physical disabilities and they have them either ride horses or they interact with the farm animals. And it was really amazing to see the kids that have gone through the program. I took my whole family out. They had to leave for a softball tournament, but here is a picture of me and my 7- and 5-year-old right after we finished a 1-mile walk around the ranch. But honestly, just a great nonprofit organization out there at the Green Acres Ranch, and I just want to raise awareness for this GATE program and all the good things that they do for our community here in Temecula. Next slide, please. And then this afternoon, Councilmember Alexander and I met with Investigator Slaw of the Riverside County AntiHuman Trafficking Task Force, and the City of Temecula, partnering with Riverside County Sheriff's Office, is going to be holding an event Thursday, July 13th, right behind us or in front of us at the hall right next door. This is a free event. You learn more about the Anti-Human Trafficking Task Force and what they do throughout our community. And it's a hard topic, but it's also a hard topic that needs to be heard. So if you're interested in learning more and educating yourself on the human trafficking that exists here in Riverside County, save that date, and we'll be holding an awareness conference on July 13th. That's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Councilmember Kalfas. Mayor Pro Tem Stewart.
All right. Well, I just returned from ICSC, which is like a convention, but it's where cities and developers and or businesses and corporations kind of meet. And so I went with our economic development team, which a lot of people don't quite understand what happens in Temecula as far as the businesses that we have, the corporations that find homes here. It's not by mistake or by happenstance. We have a team that's what they do. They go out and look for employers. In fact, we just signed a semiconductor company. They took 450,000 square feet here in Temecula. So those are good, high-paying jobs that are going to be, available to get our citizens off that freeway. So, and just had a lot of really good meetings with a lot of companies who are looking to make Temecula their home and trying to make that possible for them. So it was a great trip.
That's good. All right, that's wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, I do have a few slides, but okay, so we'll, Culture Fest, obviously, special thanks to our special events team, TCSD, and everyone involved in this, the Ready Commission. It was another wonderful day in Temecula, from dancing and singing and just really sort of talking with neighbors and residents and quite a lot of visitors down in Old Town. I had an opportunity with the Meet the Mayor, which is much like Coffee with the Mayor, if you sort of want to think about what it is, but it's really just an open forum where folks can come and chat. I had a lot of really nice conversations. Spoke with a gentleman and his wife who were visiting from Washington. He was a former director of community services, and his wife was a former finance director, and they were like, this is a really nice city. You guys are doing a great job. And we heard that over and over and over again throughout the day. So I just want to say thank you to staff and the Ready Commission for all the time and energy you put into Culture Fest, and looking forward to a third annual Culture Fest next year. Next slide. This is just to save the date. National Trails Day will be Saturday, June 3rd, 8 a.m. We're going to meet in the Old Town Temecula Community Theater parking lot, and we're going to ride on the new Old Town Creek Walk and ride it out into Santa Gratuitous and that new connection that we just finished underneath Interstate 15 all the way out to, it's almost going to go to wine country, and not too much longer it will actually go to wine country, which is really exciting. So save the date, come join myself and other bike enthusiasts in the community. Okay, next slide. All right, and this was a really special opportunity that I had. I was invited by Miss Ginger there in the middle there, that top left photograph. I have long loved spending time at the library, even before this is Ronald H. Roberts Temecula Public Library was built. We would go over to Grace Melman, and we would do baby story time, toddler story time, baby science story time, you name it. We were pretty much, as a family, and especially myself and my children as they were growing, would spend time reading with them and listening to Miss Ginger read and all the wonderful readers in our library. I was asked to participate in their library program, this Find Your Voice, and then the County of Riverside Library System has a Read Today, Lead Tomorrow initiative. So I spent an hour reading to two separate groups of toddlers for toddler story time at the library. We did everything that I remember doing with my children. So I didn't forget a song. I didn't forget any of it. It was really, really cool. And a flood of emotions kind of came back over me reading in front of these kids, just remembering the wonderful times we had in the library, learning to read. And I think reading and literacy is a path to great success in life. And I think this is just a really important program that we have. So I just want to thank the library team and everyone up there for welcoming me and all the kids that day when we were reading, and look forward to doing it. If they do that program again next year, it was really cool. So, all right, that was a fun day. And then I have one last video, but before we show the video, I feel like Mayor Pro Tem Stewart, I saw you at a couple events. I feel like there was a lot going on this last month, from the Rancho Damacitas CMOH 40th celebration to, we had an opportunity to be on KCAL News. We were asked to be interviewed for Temecula, and the Balloon and Wine Festival was kind of the impetus for that. But there was just a lot going on, and I feel like we're kind of hitting our stride here, and there's a lot of good news happening in our city. So with that, I wanted to introduce the next episode of our alumni series, video series. If we can put up the video. Hello, Temecula. I am Mayor Zach Schwank, and I wanted to welcome you to another episode of the Temecula Alumni Series. In this episode, it is my distinct privilege to welcome Chuck Washington back to our city. Chuck served regionally in our community for almost 30 years. He's given quite a lot to our community over the years. He served as Temecula's mayor twice and served on council for many years. He is now representing the thriving 3rd District on the County Board of Supervisors, and he is just an absolute wonderful person. One of the things I appreciate most about Chuck is just his dedication to our community. You can genuinely tell that he cares about everyone in our community and the surrounding area now at the County Board of Supervisors. So at this time, we'd certainly like to check in and see what Chuck Washington's been up to.
Hi, I'm Chuck Washington, and I'm currently the Riverside County 3rd District Supervisor, a position that I have held since March of 2015. I love my job, but I also have loved living in Temecula since 2000, and we're just proud residents of Temecula. You know, I'm currently serving in my 24th year, I believe it is, as an elected official. I started way back in 1995. I did 4 years on the Murrieta City Council before running again in Temecula in 2003. But those were jobs that more resembled maybe a hobby because the pay that you get when you're a council member is relatively low, and so you got to keep the day job. And my day job during all of that time that I served, the 11 years here in Temecula, 4 in Murrieta, I was an airline pilot for Delta Airlines. In 2014, I retired from Delta Airlines, and in 2015 went to the Board of Supervisors. And I just love having the opportunity to continue serving, and serving in a much larger way as a county supervisor. What my wife and I love about Temecula is, well, to begin, we love our neighborhood. We love the house we live in. We love the weather of Temecula. We love the diversity of activities, the wineries, all the great restaurants. And we have a lot of friends here. We've been here in Southwest Riverside County. This summer will be 34 years we've lived in Riverside County. So we just love everything about Temecula. One of the things I loved about being on the council was we were a small, very close-knit group of folks. I can remember the two terms where I served as mayor. Because of my airline job, I would have days off and I would just come down to City Hall and hang out and wander the halls and say hi to people and just find out what they were working on. And I liked that, and that just isn't practical or possible at a county that has 23,000 employees. There's no way that I could know everyone. But the work is very large, and as a result, I have a staff, a personal staff of 8, and they do a lot of the heavy lifting to get me prepared for meetings and making sure I'm where I need to be to do the people's work. So I do enjoy that, but I have fond memories of those years serving as a councilman, serving as a mayor, and just knowing everybody that worked here at City Hall and kind of knowing something about their own personal story. So, as I was saying, I've learned a lot along the way. And what I have come away with and what I try to apply now in my role as a county supervisor is the true understanding that democracy means nobody's going to get 100% of what they want. And we get the best outcomes, not only for ourselves and our group, but the best outcomes for the people that we're serving when we set aside perhaps less important differences and focus on the larger common areas where we can agree and move forward with something concrete in hand that we've accomplished, that we've produced for our residents. And when they look at us, and when we spend time, shame on all of us politicians if we're doing it, when we spend time being divisive and fighting with one another, I think that turns our residents off. So I think my advice to any electeds, and I've said this to many, focus on the core things that really matter, and an understanding of what people really want out of their electeds. And I think you'll find that if you come together and collaborate, and I don't mean don't debate the issues that you want to talk about, but once you've had your say, made your point, and then find some ground that you can live on, and then you can all move together as a group and say, okay, I got 80% of what I wanted, you know, and that's good enough. I can go home, I can sleep at night, I didn't compromise on my ideals. Understanding that the people that we serve is also a diverse group. So they may have different values. Their values aren't always going to be all the same values you have. So you have to, you know, you have to understand that and be willing to compromise just a bit, I think. So I'm very happy for the decade that I had where the same 5 council members served, because I think we did some of our best work for the city of Temecula in that decade. And by no means were we all thinking along the same lines, different personalities, different beliefs. We were a diverse group of 5, but we came together and we saw that there was greater good to be achieved by us working together and collaborating with one another. And our residents kept reelecting us, right? Because they saw that as success. And they said, why change that? Nothing's broke here, so let's not try to fix it.
All right. Well, I wanted to take a moment to thank Supervisor Washington for taking time out of his day to check in with us and let us know everything he's doing. But I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the media team, Jeff Lawrence and Mike Morey, for taking time and making that happen. They did a great job, so thank you. And I'm looking forward to seeing who the next mayor picks for the alumni series. Exciting stuff. Okay, we'll move on to our consent calendar. All matters listed in consent are considered to be routine, and all will be enacted by one roll call vote. Item number 1 is waive reading of title and text of all ordinances and resolutions included on the agenda. Item number 2, approve action minutes of May 9th, 2023. Item number 3, approve list of demands. Item number 4, approve city treasurer's report as of January 31, 2023, February 28th, 2023, and March 31st, 2023. Approve second amendment with Eide Bailey LLP for audit services for the fiscal years ending June 30th, 2023, 2024, and 2025. Adopt list of projects to be funded by Senate Bill 1, SB 1 for fiscal years 2023 through 24. 7 is approve agreement with Kaiser Marston Associates, Inc. for the fiscal land use opportunity study. Item number 8 is approve license agreement with Flatiron West, Inc. for access on city-owned properties in connection with construction of the I-15 French Valley Parkway Improvements Phase 2, project PW 16-01. Item 9, approve the right of entry agreement with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife on city-owned properties within Murrieta Creek and Temecula Creek. Item 10 is approve plans and specifications and authorize solicitation of construction bids for the I-15 Congestion Relief Project PW 19-02. 11 is approve plans and specifications and authorize solicitation of construction bids for the Mike Nagar Community Park Dog Park Project PW 21-14. And item 12 is receive and file temporary street closures for 2023 Summerfest events. I'll entertain a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Brown, second by Mayor Pro Tem Stewart. All right, has everyone voted?
Sorry. Yes.
Okay, and that passes 5-0. And with that, I'll go ahead and recess the City Council meeting and turn it over to President Stewart for the TCSD meeting.
And I will call to order the Temecula Community Service District meeting. Madam Secretary, please noted we're all still here. Are there any public comments?
There are none.
All right. So we'll go on to the consent calendar, which number 13, what's that? Oh, is approve action minutes of May 9th, 2023. And number 14, approve or set public hearing to approve TCSD proposed rate change rates and charges for fiscal year 2023-24.
I'll move the consent.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Please vote. All right, that passes 5-0. So we will go on to our director report.
Hi there, just 2 slides for this evening. The first one is we'd like to invite the community to come out to our Juneteenth celebration. That's going to be held on Saturday, June 10th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. right out here in front of the City Hall building. And just in case anyone's wondering, we're having it on June 10th, the weekend before Juneteenth, because that following weekend is Father's Day weekend. And so we thought this would be easier for the community to come out and celebrate. This free open house style event will include live entertainment, a variety of vendors, food, and a kids fun zone. Next slide, please. And then we also wanted to highlight the Summer Food Service Program. We do this every year. This is a partnership with the USDA, and it's essentially an extension of the school lunch program. Because of the way we structure it here in the city, you don't have to qualify the way you do for the school lunch program. This is simply available for any children ages 18 and younger or individuals with disabilities, and they can come to Mike Nagar Community Park over on Margarita Road. It's going to be starting June 20th, going through August 10th, and it will be every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 11 a.m. until noon p.m. or until the meals are gone. And I will say, usually the first few weeks we have extra meals, but by the time word gets out, we generally do run out of meals. So please spread the word, and if anyone has any questions, they can always reach out to us in Community Services. The number there at the bottom of the flyer, 951-694-6464, will get you to someone who can answer any other questions you might have about this very important program. That concludes my report.
Thank you. And that is a great program. I've been to it multiple times, and I know Zach has too. General Manager.
Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, it was amazing. We were just watching a video about the 3rd District Supervisor, and I look up, and the 3rd District Supervisor walks in. I mean, how amazing was that? So welcome, Supervisor.
Yeah, it was, when I saw you, I was like, missed it by that much. We literally just shut it off, and I see you back there. Welcome, sir.
All right, so any directors' comments? Okay, so I will adjourn this meeting until the next.
All right, and with that, I'll reconvene the Temecula City Council meeting, and we'll move to our public hearing. Item 15 is approved disposition and development agreement between the City of Temecula as housing successor to the former Temecula Redevelopment Agency and Habitat for Humanity Inland Valley, Inc., located adjacent to the current Habitat for Humanity project on Pujol Street, APNs 922-062-016 and 922-062-010. Welcome. May we have a staff report, please?
Yes. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Heidi Urias, and I am the Housing and Real Estate Analyst for the Community Development Department. So before you tonight, I will be presenting on a project that will hopefully be coming soon to our beautiful city, and it's with Habitat for Humanity. Tonight, I will be going over some of the major points or main points of the Disposition and Development Agreement. So before council tonight is a resolution to approve a disposition and development agreement, also known as the DDA, which I will be referring to in the upcoming slides, between the City of Temecula and Habitat for Humanity Inland Valley, Inc. And this is for a 6 single-family home project that will be available to low-income families for purchase. I want to repeat that again. These homes will be for purchase. So I know we're used to the multifamily units for rent, but these are single-family homes. So I'm going to go ahead and provide a couple of details on the proposed affordable housing project and the benefits to the city, as well as some details on the actual DDA and the agreements and the terms that we agreed upon. As for the project, it is actually located right on Pujol Street, north of 1st Street, so you can have a little bit of orientation there. The 2 parcels where this project will take place are the ones highlighted in yellow or outlined in yellow. It is adjacent to the current 5 single-family home project built by Habitat for Humanity in 2008. The City of Temecula owns both the parcels, which are adding up to about 0.46 acres in size. The proposed project, I do want to make note that this project has not been entitled yet, so it will go through a proper entitlement process and go through our planning division. But it is a 6 single-family homes built within 2 triplex buildings. Each unit will include 3 bedrooms, 2 1/2 bath, and 2 car garages with a 2-car driveway. approximately 1,200 square feet of gross living space. So good-sized home for a family. The project affordability is going to be for 5 units, we're going to be set aside for very low income, so either at 50% AMI or below 50% AMI. I put some examples up there based on the area median incomes for County of Riverside, just to give you a visual of what we're looking for. But it's I kind of did between a 3-person family to a 5-person family household, and on the lower end of the 50% AMI is a family making about $39,600 a year, and then a family of 5 would be $47,550 a year. And then one home will be reserved for a low-income family making either at 80% AMI or below, and again, on the lower end, a three-family household is about $63,400, and then 5 would be $76,550. So those are just so you can get some ideas there. Most employment in the 50% AMI would be someone like a warehouse employee, an entry-level administrative assistant, a school custodian, local grocery store employee, or entry-level firefighter, just to give you an idea of the types of families we would be serving with these homes. And then 80% would be more like a local store manager, a paralegal or legal assistant, dental office manager, or even a licensed vocational nurse, just to kind of give you an idea there. These homes, again, will be for sale through Habitat for Humanity, and they are deed restricted with the city for 45 years. As for the city's financial contribution for this project, and to make it possible, we would be providing a city purchase money loan, which is of the land value, and that was appraised at $561,000, and a city construction loan of $700,000. So the total comes out to about $1.2 million that the city will be contributing to make this project happen. And this development will provide needed housing in the city and will assist in meeting our regional housing needs assessment, also known as our RENA allocation numbers, for people of all income levels. A couple of DDA timeline points to make you aware of is once we execute this DDA, we will go ahead and open escrow, and Habitat for Humanity, who is a developer, will secure county construction financing 90 days after the date of the execution of this DDA. Habitat for Humanity is a developer, and they will obtain grading construction permits 18 months after the execution of this DDA, which is no later than November 2024. And they are to complete construction within 14 months after commencement of construction. So this is hopefully coming very soon. And at this time, I would actually like to call up 2 members of the Habitat for Humanity Inland Valley organization. It is Tammy Marie, who is the executive director, and Lynn Lehner, sorry. So go ahead.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Heidi. Good evening, Mayor Schwank, City Council members, and my former colleagues. My name is Lynn Kelly Lehner, and I am the Director of Housing Programs and Compliance at Habitat for Humanity. And as you all know, I am also an alumni of the City of Temecula. I wanted to start off tonight by saying that this project is personally very important and meaningful to me, and tonight represents not only a big milestone in this project, but it is also a career highlight. The city and Habitat have been discussing a follow-up to Habitat Way 1 since at least when I started working for the City of Temecula back in 2012, but the circumstances and the timing just weren't right. There was the elimination of RDA funding, there was a recession, there was the holdup of housing funding by the state, there was Habitat's existing construction pipeline in other cities, and then there was this little thing called the pandemic. But circumstances started improving. The state freed up affordable housing funding, and the city was able to start refocusing more on affordable housing, including rental projects like Las Haciendas, Vine Creek, and the re-syndication of Mission Village apartments. I started working on this DDA with Luke and the City Attorney's Office and KMA and Habitat back in 2019, and now I'm here tonight representing Habitat for Humanity on the other side of this agreement, and it's a pretty wild full circle moment for me. So I'm excited to be here. The timing and the circumstances are right now. This is just the beginning of what will hopefully be more collaborations to come. So thank you very much for your partnership, your support, and your investment in our programs and our community. So at the Supportive Housing Subcommittee's request, I'm going to go through a summary of some programs and resources that Habitat provides to low-income residents, not only in Temecula, but throughout our entire service area in Southwest Riverside County, which includes Temecula, Murrieta, Wildomar, Lake Elsinore, Menifee, Canyon Lake, and Paris. And we just applied to expand our service area even further to include San Jacinto and Hemet. As you all know, affordable housing requires a multifaceted approach, and we are proud to support our communities with these programs. So first, our critical home repair program. It's our biggest program. And we partner with the City of Temecula and also the City of Paris on a critical home repair program through CDBG funding to repair urgent home repairs for the health and safety of residents. This also helps keep homes affordable. Recently, the City of Temecula invested another $500,000 in our home repair program for an expanded program, and we are very grateful for that. We also have a minor home repair program, which covers things like brush painting, weed abatement, also for lower income residents. We have a program called A Brush with Kindness for our minor home repair. We have a veterans program, and we receive grants through Home Depot, and currently we're working on completing substantial repairs to 2 homes owned by veterans. And actually 19% of our homeowners that we work with are veterans. We work in neighborhood revitalization. We have a program that we work with the City of Menifee called Menifee Better Together. It's a citywide day-long event to help improve homes in the community. And it just really builds camaraderie throughout the whole city. It's wonderful. We have an owner-occupied rehabilitation program. We recently received funding from the state of California, HCD, for an owner-occupied rehab program focusing on mobile home parks and opportunity zones in our service area. We also have home ownership education, which is critical to our programs. We are about to open up our real estate education center. And again, the city recently invested both community service funding and CDBG funding for our new real estate education center for all potential home buyers, not just limited to Habitat home buyers. And we have a lot of opportunities throughout the year, including seminars and a home buyer resource fair coming up in June. One thing that's not on here, we also have acquisition and rehabilitation of existing homes. This is a pretty new program for Habitat. We have a real estate broker on staff that actively monitors homes that are for sale that we can purchase and rehabilitate, and then we sell at an affordable price, and then we keep them affordable through covenants, similar to what is being proposed tonight. And then finally, for our programs, we have the construction of new affordable units. Currently, we have another unit near completion in Lake Elsinore with a move-in likely in August, and we are also exploring land acquisition with other jurisdictions for the construction of affordable units, primarily through the Surplus Land Act. Before I turn it over to Tammy, I just wanted to talk a little bit about our application and qualification process. First, when we are looking at potential partners and home buyers, we want to assess the need for housing, affordable housing, of course. We want to see that they have the ability to pay an affordable mortgage, and we want to see a willingness to partner with us and help build their home. Home buyers are required to complete between 350 and 500 sweat equity hours, so they are working very hard on their homes. They complete family investment education in a home buyer workshop to learn how to be good home buyers, homeowners, and financial literacy. And with that, applications for Habitat Way 2 will likely open later this year. And after we receive applications, we do have a home buyer selection committee that will review all of the applications before we select the homeowners. If anyone is interested to sign up for the interest list in the audience, you can find it at habitativ.org/homeownership. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tammy.
Okay, so we've come full circle here, and it's really exciting to be here tonight. I just thank the council so much for consideration with our agreement moving forward. But I have a few things I want to talk about. In the slide that you see above you, in preparation for my presentation tonight, I basically asked for only one slide because it's really the message is very concise, and it's what Habitat's about. Habitat for Humanity builds strength, stability, and self-reliance through shelter, and that's it. It's as clear and simple as it can get. We provide more than a house. We provide hope and the stability that families need to thrive. So one thing to make that it's one thing to make the statement, but also another thing to prove it. I want to give you some examples of how our program does just that by becoming a tool to help give families a shot. We acknowledge that life can be challenging, that there are inequities and barriers that hold families back. Our hand up, not a handout philosophy walks families through a life-changing process, and they go on to things that they never thought possible. Statistically, we see this with improved outcomes with our homeowners in financial stability, education, health, community engagement, voter participation, and more. Well, tonight we're talking about a 6-house project on Pujol Street known as Habitat Way 1, or Habitat Way 2, but located, as you may have noticed in the slide, where the first 5 houses we did with Temecula, actually it was the second project we did with Temecula, back in 2009 when they were finished, 14 years ago, and that project we referred to Habitat Way 1. So I have a few of the families here I'd like to bring up, if possible. Actually, welcome. 5 families on Habitat Way 1. 4 are here, and the 5th one's represented by their partner advocate. But I had a really fun job this week in kind of prepping for tonight because I kind of did a counting of kind of what's happened with our homeowners on Habitat Way 1 over the past 14 years. So here's just a few facts. The 5 houses still consist of the original homeowners, showing in 14 years that homeowners aren't out to change the world. They just really love their home that they helped to build, and so they're stable. The development of the 5 families also included 14 children. Again, I mentioned the families are here with us tonight, but also some of their partner advocates and some of our board members. Jackie Steed, our board chair, Connie French is here, prior board member Vicki Puterbaugh. I don't think I'm missing anyone, but they are here because they're as much a part of the process as any of the staff, that's for sure. And here's kind of a sample of some things that have happened with this particular group that I think could be a testimonial and an illustration about what you'll see in the future with the 6 houses that we're about to build. One of our homeowners, and if I mention you guys, it sounds familiar, I want you to raise your hand so they know who it is. One of our homeowners served as a weekly volunteer for over 15 years, I think I have that number right, at the Temecula Food Pantry. I always cry when I'm around these guys, and I'm trying really hard not to, but I'm just so proud of everything they do. One of our homeowners served close to 30 years as a nonprofit professional at the Boys and Girls Club. One of our homeowners was Employee of the Year as campus supervisor at Chaparral High School. There are a lot more accomplishments with the actual homeowners themselves, but now I want to focus on the kids. So I was really shocked when I pulled this data, but out of the 14 kids I told you about, all 14 graduated from high school. 1 enlisted in the military. 11 of the 14 are first-generation college attendees or have graduated. 8 have a college degree, attending schools like Cal State San Marcos, Cal Poly, San Diego State University, MSJC, UC Santa Cruz. They have degrees in, bachelor's degrees in public relations, 2 in teaching, 2 in business administration, 1 in English, 1 in nursing, 1 in logistics, linguistics, I'm sorry about that. And 1 has been published in the highly esteemed Cal Poly magazine, which, if you know about that, it's only published 3 times a year, and it's a really big deal. So we're really proud about that. And this weekend, 2 of the original Habitat Way 1 kids received their master's degrees in cyber security from Cal State San Marcos. Okay, I'm not going to cry. But they're amazing, and they are a testament to our program and the things that can happen when you give families a shot. Our program changes the trajectory of lives forever. It's a long-term solution that incorporates education, mentorship, and a network of people who care. And our families are not perfect, but none of us are either. We know that there are barriers to housing that are more important than just creating units. And our program helps acknowledge that and work together so that we can do the most good. One of the last points I want to make is this. I tune in often to your city council meetings. I'm always interested in what's happening on the housing front, and I really appreciate Zoom, so I don't always have to show up. But trust me, I'm there behind the scenes. There's just such a, there's a legitimate, and I have an empathy for the outcry about affordable housing. I know that's real. One of the things I often reflect on is I feel like the energy is bent in the wrong direction sometimes. Cities are doing the best they can, and I know your city has done an incredible job of trying to find innovative solutions and try to work forward to work on affordable housing solutions for the people in our community. But really, affordable housing is a numbers game. It's a math problem, and it's all about resources. And while you have been so generous on this particular project, the county has been incredibly generous too, having matched those funds, which will help make this 6-house project possible. So I want to give a huge shout out to Supervisor Washington, although they haven't officially, it hasn't officially been approved yet, but I hope it will.
No pressure.
No pressure.
No pressure back there.
But my point is that really where the advocacy should be directed is at the state and federal level. And, you know, most people don't realize that with affordable housing, self-help homeownership is what we call our program. There's only one funding stream available to support us with, in addition to little pots of money that we seem to run into, which are really helpful. But the main money really comes from Cal Home, and there just isn't enough to go around. And so what I ask of the public and also of you is to advocate on our behalf at the state and federal level to have some of the affordable housing dollars come down directly to support Habitat for Humanity projects or developers like us. I think it's an excellent way to save money, to use taxpayer money in a more responsible way to help families long term. And I just ask for your support and advocacy in that direction in the years and months to come. I have worked with many of you for years. Luke Watson and I have had many conversations about affordable housing way before this project started for a long, long time. Your city manager, your supportive housing committee, Council Member Alexander, Mayor Schwank, you've been amazing, and all of the council members actually towards housing. I know you care, and I know you're trying to figure out solutions, and I just want people that are listening in to realize that the city is doing a significant number of things to try to figure this problem out because they care about all the residents in the city, not just some. So that's just my 2 cents from me. Now, I want to give an opportunity for one of our homeowners to talk about, just super quick, the impact of Habitat on her and her family.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you. This is Lisa Kabuligan, and she worked for many, many years at the Boys and Girls Club of Southwest County.
Hello, thank you for having all of us today. For the first time, I'm speechless. I don't know what to say. Having a home has meant a lot to me. Growing up, my mom was a real estate agent, my dad a contractor, so I always kind of dreamed of having my own home. But with a lot of, life happenings, it wasn't going to be able for me for a long time. And I remember one time someone coming up and talking to me when the applications were out and said, come do it, come apply, because financially, what happens if you become disabled or whatever? How are you gonna be able to manage things living in an apartment and financially? Well, long story short, 15 years later, life did happen. A year and a half ago, I became paralyzed. Thank God I really honestly was living in a home on Habitat Way, because I was able to have therapy at home, which if I lived in an apartment I wouldn't have, and because of Habitat I also received the therapy. Doctors told me I wasn't going to be able to walk again, but that wasn't good enough for me. So it was nice that I had the little, what do we call that, the cul-de-sac? The cul-de-sac where I could practice walking every day with my therapist. I know that it's just been a blessing for me to own my own home. No, nothing in my home is lowered. I didn't want it that way because that's not how I grew up. So, but it's been really nice. My daughter is the one who graduated as a nurse. So I'm very proud of her. I know for all of us, we've had a lot of successes. It really brought Habitat Way, one, has been a little community. When I became paralyzed, everyone here tonight has reached out to me and said, what can we do to help you? And we all built our house together, and it was funny because after the houses were built, we all were in our home. It was like, what happened? Because we were used to every Saturday being together, working on the homes. We've had barbecues, we've had birthday celebrations, watching our kids grow up together, I think has been really amazing. Water balloon fights, with now some of us have grandchildren that live on the street. And that's amazing to see too. And so it's brought us as a community, I think, and a tight-knit I call it a tight-knit little family. Because like I said, when I was in need, sorry, I'm gonna cry too, every single one of them came and asked me, oh, Lisa, how can we help you? I was offered to have someone clean my house, someone do my yard, pray for me. Whatever I needed, I knew that I could count on them. And I think that's really what brought Habitat Way together. So it's just building those bonds.
Thank you. That's beautiful, Lisa. I appreciate that so much. And all the homeowners, I didn't give them much notice last Friday, and here they all show up, and I'm just so proud and blessed to know all them. So over my years in nonprofit work, I've worked with Habitat for a long time, but also been connected to the homeless challenge, serving as the chair of the BOG for the continuum of care for almost 5 years, I guess. But the one thing that I've seen in programming in terms of helping people in life in general is that relationships matter. And you can't change people, but you certainly can influence them and walk with them. And that's what our program does. So I'm just honored to work with you. I'm excited to get this project off the ground. I'm grateful for Lynn and all of your awesome team, Luke and Matt and Heidi, and I'm probably forgetting someone. The list goes on and on. Of course, Aaron, always. For all your guidance and support through this process. And I hope we can, if approved, I hope we can do a lot more projects in the years and months to come, because quality matters. And that's what Habitat for Humanity provides to our families. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. All right. So before we move to comments, do we have any questions from council colleagues, of staff?
Quick question. So Tammy, so first off, I had such a great meeting with you and Mayor Zach Schwank. It was wonderful, and I'm so supportive of what you do. Can you explain your term that you say sweat equity and what that means?
So sweat equity is in what we use with Habitat for Humanity. In lieu of a down payment, the homeowners provide hours to earn their down payment by working on the house, basically. So all these guys here, and trust me, every weekend they were there. It was so much fun, actually, and I hope you guys come out. If this project is approved, I hope you come out and work on a job site at least once, because it's an amazing experience. But yeah, they volunteer. They can get hours by having their children volunteer. And so the kids come out and help paint or landscape or whatever it might be. And that's one of the components of the program to help it become affordable for them.
Thank you so much. It's an absolutely beautiful program. Thank you
Aw,
for all you do.
thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? All right. Heidi, did you want to wrap?
Just one last slide.
Yeah, one last slide. Wrap it
With
up.
that, it is a staff's recommendation that City Council approve the disposition and development agreement with Habitat for Humanity for the development of 6 single-family homes.
Okay. All right, since this is a public hearing, I'm going to open the public hearing. Madam City Clerk, do I have any public comments?
You have none.
All right, we're going to close the public hearing, and at this time, I'll take any comments or a motion to approve item 15.
Motion to approve.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Let's vote. All right, and that passes 5-0. Congratulations. Awesome. Wonderful. Yes. I would just, before we move on, I would just like to say, obviously, thank you to our staff. Thank you to my council colleagues on the subcommittee and obviously the balance of the council. But, you know, talking about these numbers, right? We talk about units and RENA, and these are all sort of these like terms out there in the housing, but it's a human story. It's people in our community. And I might even get a little choked up, and I didn't have like getting choked up on my bingo card on item 15 tonight, but it was like listening to these stories. It's powerful stuff. And the work that Habitat's doing in the community, and for a city like us to be able to come alongside Habitat, I see this as the future, right? Like this is 6 units now, and I think we can make a really important impact down the road. And I've got a killer set of tools, so I'll be over there someday to help you. Thank you. All right. Okay, we'll move on to item number 16. This is the business portion of our agenda. So item 16 is introduce ordinance amending chapters 10.44 of the Temecula Municipal Code regarding golf carts on city roadways. May we have a staff report, please?
Yes, you do. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm Nick Minichilli. I'm in the Traffic Engineering Department, and this presentation is in regard to the ordinance amendment for golf carts on city streets. A little background on why we reviewed the existing golf cart ordinance. Back in the in 2022, city staff received a request from the Trails and Open Space Ad Hoc Subcommittee to consider crossing improvements at the existing golf cart crossing at the Temecula Creek Inn on Rainbow Canyon Road. And you can see those photos right there. As we were reviewing the golf cart ordinance, we realized the antiquity of the ordinance, and we were a little concerned about how this specific crossing was not in the actual ordinance. So we just kept digging, and realized we got to do something about this ordinance. So I'll spare reading the whole existing ordinance for you guys, but a little bit of a summary of the ordinance is this ordinance really only focused on the Temecula Hills area of the city. The ordinance basically designated golf cart crossing areas and also designated streets where you can drive golf carts on city streets. The ordinance also provided detailed design guidelines on what we would do at golf cart crossings, and that kind of worried us in the fact that that could hinder us, and the fact that this ordinance is so old, that's maybe not how we would design it in current day. So we knew we had to revise the ordinance. And here's a slide kind of showing some design, pretty detailed design items that we wouldn't normally want to include in an ordinance. So the new ordinance, we coordinated with the city's legal team into helping to rewrite the ordinance. I won't read the whole ordinance, it's in the agenda packet, but the ordinance now gets in line with the California Vehicle Code. We noticed there were things that weren't necessarily all aligning, so we brought that in line, and then we also reference a lot more vehicle code sections, so there's a lot more clarity and consistency with the California Vehicle Code. So the new ordinance, some highlights of the new ordinance is it describes that golf carts are allowed to be used on streets that are 25 miles an hour and below if they are registered with the DMV. Unregistered golf carts can be used on streets and crossings that are specifically mentioned in this ordinance. It's a little bit, I would say, not convoluted, it's a little bit weird, but we wanted to clarify that because that's what really wasn't clear in our existing ordinance and what the California Vehicle Code said. So the amended ordinance expands our golf cart crossings. We don't just mention the Temecula Hills area now, we also throw in the Temecula Creek Inn and Red Hawk golf courses. So we got those crossings, as you can see on there, now shown in our ordinance. One thing to note is we did not include private streets, golf crossings. We can't control those, so we did not include them in the actual ordinance. And there's some private ones in the Red Hawk community area. The proposed ordinance does keep the joint use of golf carts and vehicles in the Temecula Hills area. We just kind of revised the language, but we kept the heart of that original ordinance for this specific area of the city. We did not add any streets where we could say we can use golf carts that are unregistered. We didn't think that was appropriate at this time. And with that, staff recommends that the City Council adopt an amendment to Ordinance 10. The existing Ordinance 10.44 regarding golf carts on city streets. And I can open this up to any questions.
Okay, before we move on to see if there's public comments, any questions?
Yeah, I have one just regarding Temecula, Rainbow, and Red Hawk. If passed tonight, how much time do they have to comply with the new ordinance as far as striping and all that? Or do they already?
For the Rainbow Crossing, we are going to be having a pavement rehabilitation project coming up this year, so that kind of what spurred us to look at this. So we will be coming up with a design to kind of bring up to how we would normally design it. Existing crossings, we haven't planned on updating them. That's certainly something we can consider. I'll let Pat answer that.
Well, and if your question was how long do they have, those are actually ours. So the striping and all that is a city responsibility. And as Nick mentioned, we think they're pretty much in compliance the way they are. So we weren't planning to make any major changes to the existing ones.
When we do repave any of the existing crossings, we will look at expanding striping and signage to see if we need to improve it.
Mayor Pro Tem Stewart.
So I live in Meadowview, and I do know there are people who use golf carts there. And so I didn't see that. So they can be used on any street in Temecula with 25 or less?
That's my understanding of the California Vehicle Code, but they need to be registered with the DMV.
Okay.
So not just your normal golf cart you see on
And
golf
some
courses.
of the requirements are that they have turn signals and headlights and things like that they would be required to have in order to be registered.
Well, what if you have a motorized one that can go 30 miles an hour in a 30 zone? If it's registered with the DMV, is that allowed?
Per the vehicle code, it's supposed to be 25 miles an hour or less. So unless we make a specific exception to that, I don't think you're allowed to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I was just checking.
Okay. And just so I'm clear, we're talking about like a private homeowner could have one that's licensed through the DMV, but then also like a golf course is going to have them, but they don't have the license plates on it. So that's why there was that sort of broken out into two parts.
That's why I mentioned the unregistered ones. Right. Since we mentioned the golf cart crossing locations, that's why the golf courses, we can use them across those streets as people go golf.
All right, sounds good, sure.
Okay, so, but if it's registered with the DMV and has a plate, let's say, why couldn't it be on a 30 or 35 mile an hour zone road if it can go 35 miles an hour?
It's
per the California Vehicle Code.
Yeah. Oh, really? It's a vehicle code, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
You'll have to ask that of the legislature.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe we go to Sacramento and
right.
get that changed.
Probably has to do with the safety design of the gift card itself with cars on the road.
Okay, Madam City Clerk, do we have any public comments on this item? Okay, no public comments on this. Thank you very much, Nick. Appreciate the presentation. If there's no further questions or comments, I'd entertain a motion to approve item number 16.
Motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Stewart, a second by
Second.
Councilmember Alexander. Okay, and that passes 5-0. Great, thank you. Don't go anywhere, Nick.
Yep.
All right, item 17 is introduce ordinance amending sections 10.28.010D of the Temecula Municipal Code regarding prima facie speed limits on certain streets. Welcome back.
I'm quick. This presentation is in regards to the update of the 2022 Engineering and Traffic Survey. As you all know, the CVC requires that local authorities review and reaffirm or adjust speed limits every 7 years on the basis of an engineering and traffic survey. We previously brought the 2022 Engineering and Traffic Survey to council, to you all, on the January 24th, 2023 meeting. Although all the recommended speed limit changes and affirmations of the speed limits were approved, there was a concerned discussion regarding the speed limit reduction to 40 miles an hour on Pechanga Parkway. Based on that conversation, traffic engineer staff took it upon themselves to resurvey the Pechanga Parkway corridor. Before we were going to make any changes, we heard your feedback and decided, let's just double check this. And the resurveyed results do show that the speed limits, the existing speed limits on Pechanga Parkway should not be changed. The posted speed limits, as shown on here, the existing speed limits from Temecula Parkway to Rainbow Canyon is 40 miles an hour. From Rainbow Canyon to the south city limits is 45 miles per hour. The previously approved one that we took to you guys in January dropped it all down to 40. This new resurveyed says we should keep it at the proposed, at the existing posted speed limits right now. So all in all, nothing's changing, but we are changing it back to what it should be. And with that, staff recommends that the City Council introduce an ordinance amending section 10.28.10D of the Temecula Municipal Code regarding prima facie speed limits on certain streets.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Nick, any questions for Nick on this item?
I just want to say I'm glad to see this happen. I remember when we discussed this originally, my worry was that I think the average, I want to say the survey said around 42 miles an hour. And my thought at that time was that it's less than 45 because 45 miles an hour is the speed limit. Why drop it down to 40? That would just make people go slower, so the average would probably be 38. But I'm glad to see that. And just to get my understanding correctly, you all surveyed the first time, and the results of your survey stated that we should lower the speed limit, and then the second survey that you resurveyed stated that this speed limit should stay the same as it was before we voted to move it down to 40 miles per hour, correct? What was the change in the survey that you all conducted that had this results?
Yeah, so the 85th percentile speeds that were measured, they were coming in at 45 and 46 miles per hour. So, you know, when we do these speed surveys, they only do about 100 radar speed readings. So it's kind of random, and sometimes when we get those low ones, you know, life lessons. If I got a feeling that it doesn't seem right, do another speed survey before we bring it to you guys. But the second time it came in higher. So we also drove it many more times, and it really felt better at 45. So that was the reason why we decided to resurvey.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, I think those real world, like driving it, I think that's important. And the factors of, I mean, maybe there's congestion one day, right? And things slow down, or there was, there's so many factors when we survey these roads. So I think 45 with the design out there, I think it makes sense. Any other questions? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve item 17. Oh, Madam City Clerk, any public comments? Just double checking. Okay. Move approval from Councilmember Stewart. A second?
Second.
Sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Stewart. Second by Councilmember Brown. Let us vote. Okay, and that passes 5-0. We'll move on to item number 18. Is adopt resolutions reconstituting City of Temecula commissions and introduce ordinance repealing Temecula Municipal Code Chapters 2.44 and 2.48. May we have a staff report, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. The City of Temecula currently has 4 commissions: the Community Services Commission, the Planning Commission, the Ready Commission, and the Public Traffic Safety Commission. The City Council has the power to establish commissions pursuant to Chapter 2.40 of the Temecula Municipal Code. All commissions serve in an advisory capacity to the City Council. The Planning Commission also serves as a statutory body over certain land use decisions. The 4 commissions were established at various times over the last 30 years with various elected officials, department directors, and staff in place. Some were established by resolution, while others were established via ordinance. Some had a detailed description of the roles and responsibilities of the commissions, while others did not. The proposed action before the City Council is a technical housekeeping measure providing consistency across the governing documents of the commissions, clearly setting forth items such as the name, the meeting dates, times, roles and responsibilities, etc. The roles and responsibilities are consistent with the current day practices of each commission. Finally, the proposed ordinance repeal brings all commission governing documents into consistency by way of a standardized resolution template, which provides enhanced flexibility for the City Council in the future to make additional changes to the commissions as they deem necessary. Mr. Mayor, that concludes staff's report, and we're happy to answer any questions. We do not have any public comments on this item.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for staff on this item? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Brown, second by Councilmember Kalfas. Let us vote. And that passes 5-0. All right, moving on to item number 19, consider and approve City Council Protocol Manual policies at the request of subcommittee members Alexander and Kalfas. May we have a staff report, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I will wait until the excellent. Thank you. So, Mr. Mayor, we have a staff report for you this evening in regards to the City Council policies for protocol manual at the request of subcommittee members Alexander and Kalfas. At the end of this presentation, please note that we do have one public comment. We'll go ahead and take a moment to briefly go over the City Council Protocol Manual generally for those that maybe weren't present when the previous council went ahead and decided to go ahead and establish this. So a protocol manual is designed to assist the City Council and staff by memorializing existing policies and procedures. It is also designed to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of a council and staff. The manual is viewed as guidance with documented accepted practices to clarify expectations. Policies, it's important to note, are subject to change at any given time by a majority vote of the City Council. City Council protocol manuals for various cities throughout California and other states is a very common occurrence. City Council roles, responsibilities, conflicts of interest, ethics, financial matters, communications, these are all general policy content that is in the City Council Protocol Manual. These policies are drafted with extensive research and analysis of the best practices and/or written policies, resolutions, and ordinances of other organizations. Next slide, please. So from a historical standpoint, the City Council in July 2020 approved the creation of a City Council protocol manual as a part of its multi-phase, multi-year ready initiative. In July 2021, the Council approved the general policy content of the City Council protocol manual. In August 2021, the City Council requested expedited preparation of policies related to the Code of Conduct, the Rules of Order, agenda placement, requests of staff, and public participation in meetings. Then in September 2021, the City Council went ahead and adopted those first 5 policies of its protocol manual. In January 2023, the City Council went ahead and appointed the Ad Hoc City Council Protocol Manual Subcommittee, currently consisting of Council members Alexander and Kalfas, as a part of its annual Council Subcommittee selection process to guide staff in the preparation of additional policies for adoption in the manual. In March 2023, this current City Council went ahead and adopted a revised policy related to agenda placement. Next slide, please. So tonight, before you, are the next 4 proposed policies in the creation of this City Council Protocol Manual. The first 3, General Law City, Council Manager Form of Government, Roles of Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and Council, are very standard proposed policies that you can find in on all, if not most, City Council Protocol Manuals. The 4th is specifically coming forward at the request of Council Member Kalfas and then also Subcommittee Member Alexander. Next slide, please. So for the first 2, with respect to the General Law City and the Council Manager Form of Government, the policy generally states that the City of Temecula and the Council is adhering to the principles applicable to a general law city, including the California Government Code and the California Constitution. It also acknowledges that Temecula was incorporated as a general law city in December 1989 to provide general services and programs as a municipality. The second policy, Council Manager Form of Government, acknowledges that the Government Code goes ahead and sets forth the process by which a Council Manager Form of Government can be established in California, and that Temecula Municipal Code Section 2.12 sets forth the specific duties, powers, and responsibilities of a city manager in relation to their service in the city. It also sets forth the very clear distinction between the role of a city council as policymakers who focus on mapping out a collective vision for the community, and the role of the city manager who is responsible for the day-to-day operations of the city and the implementation of that council-provided policy. Next slide, please. The third policy, the role of the mayor and mayor pro tem and council, generally provides that Temecula is a general law city. It operates as a council manager form of government with a 5-member nonpartisan legislative body elected by the registered voters of their district. It states that the positions of mayor and mayor pro tem are ceremonial. They are not directly elected. Our council selects the mayor and mayor pro tem amongst themselves, and the positions typically serve a calendar year. The mayor is the public face of the community, presiding at meetings, facilitating discussion and decision-making, and the mayor pro tem assists the mayor and presides in the absence of the mayor. The primary role of the council is to engage with the community to determine their needs and, in response, provide policy direction to ensure a high quality of life for all our residents. And the City Council exercises its collective authority through ordinance, resolution, minute order. It adopts the annual budget, it appoints members to advisory commissions, and it manages the 2 positions of city manager and city attorney. Next slide, please. So those were the 3 policies, as I indicated, that are standard policies in City Council protocol manuals. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the 4th policy. The 4th policy pertains to the selection of the mayor and the mayor pro tem. We're going to go through both general policy content and specific policy content. Generally speaking, it does state, reiterates that we're a general law city operating under a council manager form of government. It reiterates that the positions of mayor and mayor pro tem are ceremonial, not directly elected. Again, reiterates that they typically serve a calendar year. Selection occurs amongst the city council. It also reiterates that the selection of the mayor and mayor pro tem happens annually at the last regularly scheduled council meeting in December, and that in an election year, the selection of the mayor and mayor pro tem occurs at the meeting after the election results are declared and the new council is seated. This is really important so that the new council collectively can decide on their mayor and mayor pro tem for the upcoming year. And then the proposed policy also applies to appointed and or elected city council members. Next slide, please. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the specific policy content. There's 3 specific areas: qualifications for serving as mayor and mayor pro tem, the term of mayor and mayor pro tem, and then on the next slide, after we review this slide, there will be the actual selection process. So the subcommittee is recommending that in order to serve as a mayor, an individual must have served on the city council for at least 2 years in their current term. To serve as mayor pro tem, they must have served on the city council for at least 1 year in their current term. Of course, an individual may decline to serve in the role and or resign at any time. With respect to the term of the mayor, the subcommittee is recommending that the term of the mayor and the mayor pro tem is 1 year unless otherwise designated by a majority of the council. The terms can be extended by a majority vote of the city council in a declared emergency, such as a natural disaster, although a regular report will be provided to the city council in any circumstance whereby a term is extended on a temporary basis for an emergency situation. Terms may also be limited by a majority vote of the city council under extenuating circumstances. Those extenuating circumstances may include criminal activity, medical need, excessive absences from public meetings, or similar circumstance whereby a majority of the city council deems it appropriate to limit the term of the mayor or mayor pro tem. Next slide, please. And the last piece of this specific policy content is the actual rotation itself. The subcommittee is recommending that the selection of the mayor and mayor pro tem is to be determined based on seniority, based on a member's continuous length of service on the city council without having served as mayor. The individual with the longest continuous service on the council without having served as mayor will serve as mayor, and then the individual with the second longest continuous length of service will serve as mayor pro tem. In the event that 2 or more individuals have equal seniority, the individual with the higher vote count in his or her most recent election will be considered to have higher seniority and shall be selected. The position of mayor pro tem will automatically succeed to the position of the mayor. Next slide, please. With respect to the specific recommendations on the policy content having to do with qualifications, term, and selection, we did survey all 28 cities in the county of Riverside. Out of the 28 cities, 10 of them have a policy that is written for the selection of mayor and mayor pro tem. Out of those 10, 5 are charters. Out of those 10, 8 are have some sort of a exclusionary clause, kind of a flexibility clause, similarly to what the subcommittee is recommending. What the subcommittee is recommending by way of term and qualifications and rotation was standard based on what we found in the research. With that, Mr. Mayor, we would recommend that you go ahead and provide an opportunity for the subcommittee of Councilmember Alexander and Councilmember Kalfas to provide their comments, and then staff will be happy to answer any council questions. We do have one public comment, and then we ask that council discuss this item and go ahead and provide direction. It is also important to note that additional policies like this are coming to a theater near you, so every couple of months we're hoping that we will be able to bring you some more policies, and we really want the City Council Protocol Manual completed by the end of this calendar year.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. I'll now turn it over to the subcommittee for their comments and thoughts. Councilmember Alexander or Kalfas?
I will start it off.
Okay.
The fourth policy here is really the one we spent a lot of time on. And just to give a little education piece for those out there, some cities elect their mayor. Here in Temecula, we elect 5 city council members through districts, and then those 5 city council members then select the mayor to serve a 12-month term. Our current process is very ambiguous. There's an unwritten rule, essentially, that the most senior member that hasn't served as mayor on council will then go into the mayor pro tem position, and then once in the mayor pro tem position, the next year they will go into the mayor position. When we looked at our QLMP, one of the items in the QLMP is equity, and we looked at the most equitable option for those being selected as mayor. I initially said every 9 months we would rotate, that way all 5 city council members could become mayor, since it is not an elected mayor position. And after speaking with Madam City Clerk, that is a clerical nightmare, so we decided against that one. And again, this really just codifies the unwritten rule of the most senior member on the council that has not served as mayor becoming mayor. And again, this doesn't allow for any discrimination. So it doesn't, regardless of race, gender, religious affiliation, political ideology, it essentially takes away that ambiguousness of the selection of mayor. It takes away that good old boy club of who becomes the mayor, and it essentially puts that policy in writing. Because there's instances we've seen in the past where, although some members are in line to become mayor, like happened to yourself, Mayor, in December of 2021, where he was slated to become mayor. There was a 3-2 vote where I believe Mayor Schwenk and Mayor Pro Tem Stewart both voted against, at that time, former Mayor Matt Ron becoming mayor. This essentially aligns with your both votes where it will not be up to the council. Essentially, it is in writing that it says the most senior member on council that has not become mayor will become mayor. And again, we went through, there's many situations that could occur. It depends on who gets elected or re-elected, and there's a lot of situations that may happen and potentials, but we went through all of those, and what we have here in front of you today is the most, what we thought the most reasonable, the most equal opportunity and equitable policy we have in front of you. And if you have any questions, myself and Councilmember Alexander would be happy to answer them.
Any comments?
He said everything.
He said it all. I don't think that vote was a 3-2. You didn't vote against Mayor Ron for... Did you? You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Did you watch the video? Did I watch the video? You watch it back? No. Because okay. I have to go back and watch it. Mm-hmm. We'll see. Okay, fair enough. Questions, comments? Oh, we have a public comment.
Yes.
Okay, so let's call the first public speaker.
Yes. We have one public comment, Skylar Temple.
Hey everyone, long time no see. Hope everyone's doing well, and we're all excited for the summer and warmer weather at long last. You know, in preparation for this meeting, I was looking over the agenda, and you know, I'm really glad that we're getting this council policy handbook put together, right? Reaffirming as a general law city, reaffirming that we are a council manager system of government. I think it's important that more people know that we have a ceremonial mayor, not an executive mayor. But it was policy number 4 in this proposed package that kind of raised an eyebrow, and I thought to myself, I was like, that seems a little odd. Let's look into that a little bit deeper. Because this is something that's existed in place since 1989. And Brendan, I appreciate you recognizing that there are certain practices that have to change to evolve to be more equitable, right? That's something that we did with the commissions, right? To make that a more open and transparent process. And I commend you for looking to a solution for this. But I started looking a little bit deeper into what the actual practice of this would be. Because that's really, at the end of the day, what we're trying to assess here, right? It's one thing to have an intention to do something. It's another to look at what it'll actually do. So for me, this is kind of just adding steps upon steps and making this incredibly convoluted, right? From the public's point of view, we get to see the council nominate someone, edify them and say, hey, they've been doing this good work for the community. I think that they should step up to be mayor pro tem. Because guess what? The next year, they're stepping up to be the mayor. And that mayor pro tem position is really let's be honest, it's the training wheels to be mayor. Right? Because there are times when the mayors can be out of town or unable to serve. And that's their opportunity to see, hey, I can do this thing. I can run a meeting. Running a meeting is not easy. For those that have run a meeting for the first time, it's a lot, especially when you have to manage potentially an unruly audience member like we saw tonight. You know, you have to really have a thick skin for it at times. And under this policy, I was growing really concerned with a few potential outcomes that could happen with this. So under this policy, you know, we establish rules such as time and current term. The current term part was what really got to me there. Current term implies that 4-year stretch that you serve. If you were elected in 2020, that means from 2020 to 2024, that is your term of office. That would mean you would not be eligible to serve as mayor or mayor pro tem, even if you've been on there for 5 years, until your second year in that term. All right, well, that's one thing. But when we start talking about time since serving as last mayor, that really got to me there, because per this rule, there would only be 2 individuals who have not yet served as mayor, but would then still qualify. That would be Mayor Pro Tem Stewart and Ms. Alexander, right? You both were elected in 2020, and you both have not served as mayor in this current term, right? Stu is Mayor Pro Tem. You're naturally the next in line to serve as mayor, according to the current practices. But then there's the tiebreaker, right? You both have the same amount of time having not served as mayor, but now there's a new tiebreaker. The number of votes you received in the last election is now a tiebreaker between you two. Which one of you got more votes in the last election? Jessica did by 1 vote. 3,233, 3,232. By rule, next year, Ms. Alexander would be Mayor Alexander, and you would be Mayor Pro Tem Stewart once again. Is that fair? Do you think that upsetting this balance, and honestly, that the trust that you have to gain from your colleagues to really serve and be the face? I mean, we've seen just in the last couple of months, Zach's been on the news several times promoting Temecula, right? I personally believe that the residents trust our council to select a representative to serve as mayor, to be our community ambassador, both here in Temecula, as we have the mayor pop-up booths and the coffees with the mayor, but also on national television as our elected councilman serving as mayor. And so to me, I look at this and I'm like, this policy really serves only one goal, right? It's to make sure that everyone serves as mayor, regardless of whether or not they have the support of their colleagues. And to me, that's problematic, right? We have this because your colleagues have to trust you, that you can actually represent this community both here and in our country. And I don't see a justifiable purpose for that, because if you feel like you can't get the support of your colleagues to become mayor, maybe look at why that's happening, right? I understand changing the policy, but let's not completely upend a system that has generated good mayors that have represented our community and ultimately aren't trying to stir division. That's my piece. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, do we have any more speakers? Okay. We'll go ahead and move to council discussion. Anyone would like to start?
Can I start one more time?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Yeah, just to answer some questions that I felt came from the gentleman that just spoke. He stated that the policy that we are offering here today is very convoluted. I would say the exact opposite. It makes the policy clear as day. Whoever has been in office or as a city council member been in that city council position the longest becomes the mayor. And it makes it so that no member on the city council can become mayor 2 times in 1 term. For those that don't know, the mayor receives a higher compensation than the rest of the city council, so this makes it more equitable for the council.
No, they do not. No, they don't.
No mayor increase in pay? Absolutely wrong.
Did you want to vote on that? Because we can if you want.
I saw it somewhere, so I am absolutely wrong on that one. Well, now my train of thought is all wrong. So, but anyways,
online it does say that the mayor receives more.
Okay,
than,
I thought it. Yeah,
but there's no truth to that.
Okay, so on the City of Temecula website, it does say it. I've read it before. It's in Temecula somewhere. Anyways, it says it somewhere. So I read it and I'm wrong, and I did not do any follow up on that, so I apologize. But I will double check that, and I will come back to you next one. But anyways, he mentioned the term being a 4-year term, and correct me if I'm wrong, the term is continuous. So if a member is elected onto the council, and say I serve 4 years on this council, and then I get reelected next term, it is a continuous term. And if I have not become mayor on that next term, I would be slated to be mayor if I had been the member that had the most time not being mayor. Is that correct?
That is correct, and if we need to add clarifying language to that, we certainly can.
So I just want to clarify that point, that it is not just 1 term, it's a continuous term. But on that note, with trusting our council to elect the next mayor, I would agree with that you should earn the respect of your colleagues to be elected mayor, but at the same time, we don't have our city council select the next city council. We have the voters select the next city council. So although I agree with you, there are many different instances that can happen where you could have a 4-to-1 politically, ideologically leaning left and then a 1 leaning right, and that right would never be selected as mayor, per se. So is that the most equitable solution? And that's really all I got, and listen to hear what you guys have to say. Right.
If I can add something, because there was something brought up, and actually we brought that up with myself and Mayor Pro Tem Stu. He would actually, because he's Mayor Pro Tem, would automatically go into that position. So that's how we end up looking, because he's already sitting in that role. So he would automatically go up. It wouldn't be me coming in. It would be me next after Stu if I get reelected. So that was the conversation, because I didn't want Mayor Pro Tem Stu to lose that position. And so, yeah, so that conversation was had, if I remember correctly, Brendan. Yep.
Correct.
So.
Councilmember Brown?
Yeah, I just think you said it best, is the policy, it's too clear. And I agree with the comments that I already made about, I think that I represent District 1, and so they voted me in here. And so you mentioned that it takes away from the voters. The council should vote who's going to be the next mayor and Mayor Pro Tem. I don't think that by policy, it should just be automatic who becomes the mayor. I represent a district, and the district will provide me input on who should be the next mayor, who should be the next Mayor Pro Tem. And they'd get my vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Stewart, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, so my thought is that this is just a best practices policy. So this is not something that's written in stone that we can't change. If 3 of us decide somebody shouldn't be mayor, then we go off script and we can do that. I mean, it doesn't codify really anything. It really is best practices. So it gives us guardrails to kind of stay with. But if we want to throw the ball off the rail, we can. It doesn't stop us from doing that.
It doesn't stop us from doing that, but it confuses the residents, because now we're breaking policy, we're changing policy, right?
Yeah.
To just create confusion, potentially,
yeah,
at a council meeting by breaking policy.
Right.
Right. And so why have a policy?
Right. Well, my thought, my concern was very much just like Councilmember Kalfas was saying, that
4-to-1.
Huh?
The 4-to-1, or
yeah, I mean, if not even, it could be a 3-to-2. It could be anything where there's an opportunity to be frozen out of, and we're all elected. We're all elected by our district. So why shouldn't our district, if they elected us, have us to be mayor? What is, I guess that's my struggle. It's like, for you to say, because of your leanings, left or right, we don't want you to be mayor because we're the majority.
But who said that?
Well,
I mean,
nobody.
No one has
Right.
ever had. I mean,
exactly.
You're talking the what ifs now, right?
Right. Yeah.
Which isn't fair, right? It's not. You can what if this to death.
Yeah.
Right.
True.
If I can add something, so if I remember.
If it'd be okay, I'd like to go. And then it would kind of give a little bit of balance, right? And then I don't have to be the last person, and so you can kind of maybe hear what I say, and maybe we modify or whatever. Okay, the what if, to me, when I initially read this, I was like, there's 800 scenarios that can happen, right? Especially with elections and people come and go. This really, in a lot of ways, it ties the hands of the council, right? We just defined the role of the mayor, so your district isn't lacking. Not serving as mayor, I don't feel like my district was lacking anyway. I'm still present at every meeting. I'm still engaged in every subcommittee. I'm still, 1/5 of this body. But what the mayor does is well, first of all, it's exhaustive, right? I mean, if you served as mayor, right? So it's a lot of work. So it's important that you're ready to do the job. And we serve on regional boards, and we sort of know what that entails. But the mayor is a whole nother role, right? A whole nother animal. I think that the policy is really worthless because at any given time, you would have 3 council members just change it, right? And the problem I have with that is it would draw attention to it. It would make sort of a spectacle of what we're doing versus what sort of organically happens. And, you know, you brought up, you know, myself getting passed over the first round for me back in 2020. And while at the time I made the case that I deserved to be mayor, this is politics, right? There's a whole lot of things that go into this. And there's reasons why. There's different circumstances every year. And in hindsight, the decision that was made, and Councilmember Alexander, that was your first second ever, right? Like you just sat down and you seconded Mary Ann's motion, you know, so you were right in, like you were like, let's go, you know. So those circumstances like evolve, like every year there's things that happen, things that evolve. So I think it's important to not have a policy. You know, again, as you sort of, you look through this and there's a lot in here that, while it looks good on paper, I think in practice, I just think it's really problematic. I think it creates some chaos. I think that being elected is a privilege that the community bestows upon you, but then serving as a mayor is something that you have to earn. Like and I fully believe that you have to earn the respect. Quite frankly, if there was a rotation and the mayor was just handed to me, I wouldn't feel the value in it if I didn't feel that I had your support. So I'd rather us forgo the whole, you know, policy and just say like, I need to earn your support. You need to earn my support. You need to earn my support. We all need to earn each other's support. And the left versus right, I mean, again, that's just a what if. No one's literally saying that. It's how you're communicating with colleagues. It's how you're working with the city. It's how you perform as a council member that matters more than anything. I don't care your political ideology. I genuinely don't. And I know there are folks who say, that's just absurd. How could you say that? I care about the work we do in subcommittees. I care about the things we do for our community. And if there's, you know, division and there's frustration and anger and, you know, I wouldn't want to serve in that role just based, oh, it's my turn now, right? So again, just because other places do it, just because this may seem like a good idea, this has actually worked quite well for many years. And I think that, you know, there was a time, and Supervisor Washington was here, and he mentioned in his video where there was like a 10-year run where it was, you know, pretty solid rotation. Those days are gone. We're going to see turnover every couple of years. It's just a fact of like the political world that we're in. But I think to try to serve as mayor, you really have to, first of all, want to do it, and then you need to earn it. Sometimes I think, you know, we have to make tough decisions. And that council that day had to make tough decisions, right? And that's part of being a council member, is making a tough decision that puts the best interest of residents, of staff, of ourselves, you know, in mind. And I believe that not having a policy best serves those goals. So those are some of my initial thoughts, and we'll certainly keep talking.
I think he said it best. At any point, the council, with the majority vote, could disregard the policy and appoint the next mayor. So why have a policy?
Why have a policy manual at all?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have a policy manual, but we have these things in place so that we know what is best practice. And again, it's just best practice, like Mayor Pro Tem Stewart. This isn't law.
Right.
If 3 members decide that they don't want 1 member to become mayor, it takes 3 members to vote to change the policy so that member doesn't become mayor. I mean, I disagree with a lot you said, Mayor. I believe that Mayor Matt Ron, that was in 2021. I think it was your second year, correct? Councilmember Alexander, when Mayor Matt Ron became mayor of 2022.
No, it was the first year. It was the first time I got on the dais, and it was a 3-2 vote because you and I spoke, and you said you were going to vote for him.
No,
Who was the mayor of 2022?
The mayor of that was Matt Ron. It was Mary Ann, if I remember, when I first came on, and then it was Matt Ron as Mayor Pro Tem. Yeah. And then came Zach Schwenk, and then
Mayor Ron of 2022, correct?
Sure.
Yep. And the reason, and again, this was a political, because he was running for state assembly. This takes the politics out of it. So now on his state assembly, he's running as mayor of Temecula. It looks better, and that was essentially why they passed up current Mayor Schwenk, because the 3 members, when it was 3-2, voted that they wanted Ron to become it. And it was essentially a political play. This takes the political play out of it, in my point of view. And if you're given this position because you're the most senior in line and you see no value in it, that's why we placed in there. You can always decline this. So if you see no value in the mayor role, you can absolutely decline it. That's in the policy. And I agree with you that it worked well for many years. That's because the previous council was on here for 20 plus years. You had former council member Kamashera, who was 20 plus year. You had former council member Mike Nagar, who was on here for 16 plus years. You had former council member Marion Edwards, who was on here for 16 plus years. You had members that were on here for decades at a time and became lifetime Temecula politicians. So of course the policies worked well when it was the same city council members for 2 decades. Those same members are going to believe the same things and they're going to stick with the same policies they always stuck with. So this is essentially just put into place what is already the best practice. We are just saying it is in the policy manual. This is already what we do. This is already what we do. All it is taking out the ability to pass yourself up like you were passed up, and knowing, speaking with people that were around you at the time, the only reason to deny this policy would be to basically do the same scenario that happened to you, place it on another council member. I'm essentially saying take that away, take the politics out of it, take the ambiguity out of it, and make it clear and concise on what we do. And again, it's already best practice. This is just putting it in writing.
Yes, I feel like there's a couple of things I got to sort of address. You made some broad assumptions of why Councilmember Edwards and Councilmember Ron, were mayor pro tem, and I think that if you listen to the video, the conversation surrounded COVID, right? And Mayor Pro Tem Stewart, you even brought it up. You said, "Hey, we aren't out of this yet, right? There's still a lot going on." And Matt and Marianne had much more experience than I did. And so, in hindsight, and again, don't take away my pushback that day as anything but myself standing up for myself. I mean, I would expect nothing less from anyone up here. You would push back as forcefully as possible. But to say that this has to do with greater politics, I think it has to do more with internal politics than anything. And at the time, Councilmember Edwards had a ton of experience, and Councilmember Ron was fully into his second term and had been the longest, him and Marianne were the longest term serving council members at the time. There's been a history of, at least on some of these things where Councilmember Kalfas, you talk about, folks that have served long in our city and sort of like, I don't know what the right word, nefarious maybe, like, hey, these are politicians and these folks are just only serving their best interests. And I have a different sort of take on it. And those folks were duly elected many times, and take nothing away from, what they've done. Those policies worked because those folks worked to get along with each other and earn each other's support. And again, I think it goes back to not just a random rotation, but it goes back to how you carry yourself every day in these halls, how you carry yourself up here in the public. And look, you're not going to make everybody happy every single time. No mayor's going to do that, right? Like, that's just not going to happen. But it's the totality of your service and your council service. And nothing should be given. If at the end of this year you go, hey, that was a horrible year, Mr. Mayor, no more for you, those are the lumps you got to take, right? And I think, again, creating a policy is just going to end up in the newspaper. It's going to be, all over, well, they have this policy, but they just iced someone out. I think that it's a bad idea to do that. I think that having those conversations at that meeting and just sort of selecting is really the best practice. Mayor Pro Tem Stewart.
So, and just a little clarification, because the mayor just brought up that particular vote that took place, and it actually went 5-0 for Matt. It wasn't a 3-2. I thought it was. I remember protesting at that meeting the idea that he wasn't going to go up to be the mayor pro tem. But in the end, we all supported the idea of Matt being mayor. So just that clarification, I'm glad he brought that up, because in my mind I saw something totally different. And, you know, just in the discussion, I'm kind of feeling my concept is wrong too. I agree with you guys in the fact that I think if we put this in a policy procedure, it could backfire on us big time. And it would just create a lot of division, and I think it'd be a huge mistake after hearing everything. But, you know, the actual 1 through 3 are just basic, you know, yeah. So we don't throw the whole thing out. If we want to, really number 4 is the only thing we're discussing for this purpose. And so I am more in favor of, and honestly, I was only in favor of that idea because of the experience I had with you. And so that kind of shook me a little bit. Yeah. And so, yeah, I'd be totally okay with not putting this in the policy procedure.
Well, I even remember that meeting saying, like, I, you know, happily support Marianne as mayor, Matt as mayor pro tem, if we could come back and have a conversation.
Yeah.
And I believe Marianne Edwards at the time says, you know, what, you want to do a policy? And it was like, no, I just want to have a conversation. So this conversation is good,
yeah.
Right? This is you know, to have this and have what was, I think I asked you, yeah. What's your expectation, having just been reelected? And I asked you, what's your, you know, expectation? You know, we all sort of want to know what that expectation is, and I think it's incumbent upon us to hold each other. Well, the expectation is this. This is how we carry ourselves. These are the things we do. I think that's really where that expectation lies. So.
I do have one question, and I've been just curious about this because I think, Stu, I think you were the one, sir, who said this, and you said, you know, basically, if we got to the point where, let's say, if we did the rotation, and there was a mayor who was there, and we didn't like him for some purpose, we can go back and change the policy. I guess my question is why would we go and ice somebody out? Like, what would that look like? What would somebody do that's so bad that we would have to go through and change the policy?
That's the whole idea of not having a policy, so we don't have to change it.
Yeah.
I'm just asking, like, if, you know, I understand you guys are leaning towards, but I'm just trying to understand for myself, because it sounds like myself and Brendan are going to have to probably go back and rewrite some of this, or whatever that looks like in the subcommittee. But I'm just curious, as far as being on that subcommittee, why would we want to ice out somebody? What would that look like? So I can just.
It's a what if scenario. It's really hard to even quantify that.
I just go back and go, why do we have policies
right,
then?
Right. That's my ultimate question is, it's better to not have a policy. My response to that would be, it's better to have 0 policies. Why have any policies in the policy manual?
But you look at the 1 through 3, and those are great policies, right?
Yeah.
They're
subjective.
Right? Yeah. Are they?
Yes. Yeah. Well, great is a subjective term. Right? If you think they're a great policy, I may not think they're the best policies. But yes, those are the 3, well, all 4 of these policies, the subcommittee agreed that they were great policies.
Okay.
Right, but it's subjective because the 4th one's not great in some council members' eyes.
Right.
And just for clarification, I think we're talking about 2 different elections here. I'm not talking about when Marianne Edwards was extended as mayor. I'm talking about when, in 2021 of December, last December, when Mayor Matt Ron was selected mayor. I could have been given false information. I'll rewatch the video, but I'm almost certain it was 3-2. I could have been, I guess I was selected mayor pro tem that year, and I want to say council member Alexander actually abstained from that vote. Because we lumped them together. We did a mayor and a mayor pro tem together, which we didn't do this last year. We broke them apart, and I want to recall you abstained, I think. So it was a 4-1 or whatever. But I think we all have our opinions and ideas, so we'll go back and work on it and have no policy, it sounds like. Mm-hmm. Okay, any other comments before we? So we'd certainly like to take this as one.
So, Mr. Mayor, can I get some clarification? So what I'm hearing is collective council desire to adopt policies 1 through 3 and then not adopt without any further action policy number 4. Am I understanding that correctly?
So that's what I heard, and I can make that motion that we adopt Exhibit A, B, and C, and we reject Exhibit D with no further action on selection of mayor and mayor pro tem.
I would just like it on record to say that I was for this policy. So if we can do 2 separate votes, for one on the first 3 and then one on the second,
Yeah.
number 4.
So
Okay, just out of curiosity.
hold on, we need a.
Just
sorry.
out of curiosity, before we vote on this, though, are we going to also push this back so we can get the wording in the subcommittee?
No, that's why I asked for the clarification. The clarification was no action on policy number 4 with no further direction on that.
So we wouldn't want to, just to the gentleman that I'm working with here, we wouldn't want to have it in the policy on the, just, it's up to us to elect the upcoming mayor. That's what we would have to go back. So that's what I'm saying. It's that type of wording. If we leave it, then it's not in there. But we need to have.
It's in number 3.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, so.
Policy 3, bullet 5, it says.
Yeah, so the motion excluded any further action on this, so we're not going to go back and tighten it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, so we need a second?
So I'll go ahead and break it up into 2 motions then. So
Okay.
the first motion, can we get a motion to go ahead and approve policies that are listed in Exhibit A, B, and C?
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve policies listed in Exhibit A, B, and C.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, that one passes unanimously.
5-0.
And then now if you could go ahead and ask for the motion on the second.
Okay, so a motion to reject Policy 4, or Exhibit D, selection of mayor and mayor pro tem with no further action. And to clarify, a yes vote would be to reject.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Okay, and that passes 3-2 with Councilmember Alexander and Kalfas. No. Okay, that was a good discussion. All right, departmental reports are receive and file. Items for future council agendas. Do my council colleagues have anything for future agendas?
I do have one thought that was brought up by the equity, what was it, the Habitat for Humanity.
Okay.
City manager, if you can possibly take a look, I kind of liked the way Menifee was connecting and utilizing and working with the Habitat for Humanity as far as making it a community day to go in and help out with the housing and be able to construct. And I would just like that maybe something that we can do on an annual basis and kind of copy their idea.
I think she called it community revitalization.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we need to actually do that as an item for future agenda, or can our city manager just look into that policy and reach back out?
Yeah, I can definitely look into this and just take the direction and advise the council offline.
Because you're asking us to vote on that right now.
Yeah, I don't know how that would have to go. So yeah, I mean, whatever, as long as there's some direction. Yeah, I just thought that was a great idea.
I'll follow up.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. City Manager. With that, do you have a report for us this evening?
No, nothing further.
Okay, Mr. City Attorney, anything?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we did have a closed session tonight. The council gave us direction on a potential litigation matter, but there's no action to report under the Brown Act.
All right, and do we have a slide for adjournment? Once again, we find ourselves adjourning our meeting in memory of Deputy Brett Harris. If you would all please join me in a moment of silence. We're adjourned.
Good night, gentlemen.
It's like